Here we go, another update on how to do your own K20. Wanted to go over all of our components and what we're using as far as fuel. We are doing a E85 ready fuel system using Teflon fuel lines, E85 ready fuel pump, and then our AEM regulator is E85 safe. So um, also, your Teflon fittings are E85 safe, so really good deal as far as getting your car ready for fuel and keeping it clean and simple. First, I wanted to show you guys the fittings we'll be using for our hardline fuel lines, which is the OEM lines. You want to get a 5/16 female adapter because we'll be adapting here for our feed, and then for our return you're gonna need a 1/4 AN6 male fitting, and here's the part number for that if you guys may need that, and then the part number for the female fitting is here. So mostly eBay, Amazon, whatever works for you guys. On the other fittings, you guys want to go ahead and use Vibrant is my favorite, even though most are the same. Same thing with fuel filter, AN fitting. You will need 3 of the ORB to AN6 fittings for your regulator, as your regulator does not come with it. You will also need a fuel pressure gauge, and that pretty much completes your kit. I do have this particular kit available on my website. I will show you guys how it is installed. Alright guys, so there we go with our hard lines. You want to take your compression fitting apart. You want to go ahead and add this piece first in there. We're going to do our return line. Then you're going to add your compression fitting. Push it in there nice and snug. So after you got your compression nice and snug there, you're going to want to lift on this end here, and then you're going to want to screw the top piece on there, and then once they meet together they create that compression, and then you're done, nice and neat. Gonna go ahead and do the feed now and go from there. Same thing with the feed. Get your bottom fitting on there first, then the compression is in there already. Just like that, we have our feed and return. So for the AN fittings, I do highly recommend you guys use the AN wrench that's made for AN fittings, because it'll give you a nice clean look. For the filter, real simple install, as you guys can see here, if I can do it with one hand. And just like that, you have your E85 ready fuel filter. So now the next step is you're going to want to take your regulator and put the bracket on it. You always want to install the regulator based on its location, because you will have to install the fittings, and I'll show you as that goes. That's going to be your mounting point there, and then like I mentioned, the reason why you have to mount it first is because you won't be able to get to that bolt if you add these first. So just a quick heads up, these are the ORB to AN6 fittings. Alright guys, so real simple, got our ORB fittings on the regulator, and then we got most of our fittings where I would like them placed. Okay, now as far as you're making your lines, is what you want to do is you want to go about midway on the fitting, if you guys can see right here. You don't want to measure any further over or under, because this line is going to sit perfectly right there. So that's our first cut, and then where you're going to place your second cut, you'll hold your line right up to the fitting, which is again about mid fitting there. This line is going to be real short. So you want to put your masking tape, preferably where you're going to cut about a ½ inch or so over, so you kind of know where your measurement is. And that what that does is it keeps the braid down when you cut. Now I'll show you guys the way I cut it. Here's the way I cut my line. You put your masking tape on there to keep the braid down, and then I use my handy dandy grinder, as you guys can see there, from the 1980s. And I'll show you guys just one quick cut and we'll finish up the fuel system. So just like that, have a nice clean cut on both ends. Now another thing you guys want to make sure is you guys always want to clean your lines out. I like to hose mine out and then use the compressor to blow the rest of the water out of them. A lot of guys do not clean their lines, and everything that's in here ends up getting clogged in your fuel injectors, and then you guys wonder why you guys have misfires. So I went ahead and got our two fittings off the regulator, and I'll show you guys how we build our fuel line. Now you want to take your tape off, put your first end of the fitting on there, that way you don't mess up your braiding. After you put your Teflon fitting in there, you're gonna go ahead and just press this bad boy in, just like that. You're done. The way it's gonna seal up is when you tighten this up like so. Right there's where it gets too tight by hand. Now you want to use your AN wrench. So again, on this side, real nice and neat on your braiding. You want to push this compression fitting down to where the tube meets, kind of like so. And right there you kind of see where the tube met the lip of the compression fitting. Press up here and you're ready for your other end of the fitting. So just like that, we have our fitting nice and neat. Alright, so there we go guys, our fuel pressure regulator connected to our feed line with our inline fuel filter, E85 ready lines, and just gonna show you guys the final outcome once I do the rest of the fuel lines. Alright, there we go boys. Finalized the fuel system, got everything nice and buttoned up. Ran our line to our fuel rail, which I like to leave a little bit of slack. These engines tend to play just a little bit, so you don't want no tension on the engine side at least. So yeah, came out pretty nice. So just real quick before we wrap up this video, I did get my Instagram back. I do appreciate those people that reached out by text message or email. Those few days I didn't have it, so big misunderstanding with Instagram. Just lucky to have it back. So as far as fuel goes, the pump, I won't bore you guys with that. That's pretty much self-explanatory. You can find a bunch of information on YouTube with that. Fuel system, E85 ready, wrapped up, ready to go. This system is good for about 350 horsepower. It is the same setup that I ran on my car when I did the 352 on nitrous. So pretty good for an all motor setup if you're looking to keep it budget, clean, do it yourself. If you would like to stay updated on this do-it-yourself K-swap, make sure to stay tuned on the next few videos, as we are going to wrap her up and get her on the road.